Welcome to Hey Clarity. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we are doing an Akashic Records reading on archetypes. The questions that we're going to ask are, what are archetypes? How are they formed? What archetypes do we not yet know about? What are the new archetypes, like modern day? And then what's the most important message we need to know about archetypes? Let's get into it. First question, what are archetypes? They're like characters, personalities, personas. Behavior patterns. They're like people personalities. And then they're showing like, an archetype that is half human, half creature, or half animal as well. They're just like personalities, characters, creatures, creators, creations. They're like of your mind. One more time, what are archetypes? We're just saying personalities, personality types. They're like angels, symbols, examples of like historical events, religious beliefs, societies, civilizations. And then they're saying again, this behavior patterns, like old behavior patterns. Like the recognition of like human behavior and behavioral patterns. How are archetypes formed? They're like word of mouth, like spread like wildfire, like they're created and then they resonate with the masses. People see like themselves in the archetypes or aspire to be. They either see like inspiration in them, past belief systems, future new ideas, present current events, occurrences, apex, pinnacle characters, personalities of a time. Past, future, present. They're like the symbolics of like human behavior patterns, like ways of being, ways of living. How are they formed? Again, it's word of mouth. It's almost like someone said something and like caught fire, like spreads like through word of mouth or books, etc. It's like the long-lasting, long-standing personalities of a time. What archetypes do we not yet know about? What archetypes do we not yet know about? They're like, it's confusion. Because there are many levels of behavioral patterns, and we're paying attention to like personalities and society and civilization. It's like we have a microscope on people so that they're like, there's many levels of archetypes. Like there's many types of archetypes. They're like, for example, they're like, let's look at a school. And they're kind of saying this like jokingly, but not really. They're like, when you guys have these like categories of like student body, like the student body in like a high school. And you're like, oh, those are the artsy kids. Those are the nerds. Those are the jocks. Those are the cheerleaders. Like, those are the brains. Like, there's all these like funny little things. They're like, you do this. Like, you do this. You've done this all along. Like, everywhere you go. Like, even in work, your colleagues. There's these little like categories, societal like sections, cliques. And we give them like a one personality, right? We love like simplifying and categorizing each other So like, even though we're so multifaceted, we'll be like, oh, that person is put them in a category, put them in a box. Put a group of people in a box, in a category. Even though they're saying each person is multidimensional, each person is multifaceted. They're like, how dare you put each other in boxes and categorize each other, but you do, that's what you do. So what archetypes do we not yet know about? They're kind of saying like, you'll see, like you're creating them like all the time. This isn't something that they're kind of saying unleashed. They're showing that we do this like everywhere on a regular basis. And it's really like, it's only over time that the characters become prominent, that they become these huge portrayals of generations. They're like celebrity as an example. Some celebrities, some musicians, some actors over generations become archetypes of a person, they're saying. They become archetypes in a way. And then they're like, you either like reduce to like a simplified type of person or not. They're kind of like, does it matter? There's something about how we just categorize things, even though we're so, again, very multidimensional. What are the new archetypes of modern day? It's kind of in the same family of questions. What are the new archetypes of modern day? They're like depression. They're going into like, again, categories, and how we like categorize each other, how we categorize like our feelings, again, these behavioral patterns and mental health. Like, that's so interesting that they're using like kind of like mental and emotional challenges as archetypes, because they're like depression, anxiety. It's like the overuse of the words. These categories become a type of personality. What are the new archetypes of modern day? That's so interesting. They're playing with like anxiety and depression as like archetypes. Anything else? What are the new archetypes modern day? They're like, you decide it. Like, you decide now, like what prominent, they're basically like culture, right? So whether it's like artists or religion or, populations being drawn to, again, celebrity, actors, whatever, musicians, etc. They're like, if there's enough of a movement, they're like, you can do this right now. Like, pick a character and almost like over-create works of art, music, poems, written books about this personality character, and then you create an archetype. So if enough people, if like millions of people resonate with characteristics, they're like categories, or like this one person, a type of person. And it's like, if you just like blast the information, the visualizations, the face, the kind of key points about this character, personality, persona, if it's long lasting, if it survives for like lifetimes, this person can become like an archetype. Anything else? New archetypes of modern day. They're just like catch a fire, catch a fire. Like, be a creator and catch a fire. They're like Superman, Jesus, Archangel Michael. They're just like all of these pinnacle kind of apex people, personas, personalities become archetypes. So like you can create them. I'm kind of getting it just like because there's like so much information and so much visualization and just so much all the time that it's like we're unfocused, they're saying, on like one type of personality or like one thing. And so to like actually create that like long-lasting, long-term archetype is kind of like harder to do. But if you get like enough people on board to like praise, appreciate, worship, whatever, some personality, persona, then they're like, you can create one together. And there's a little bit of like an invitation, like kind of like have fun with it. Before I get to the last question, I have an archetype that I want to talk about. The Fool is my favorite. And I want to ask them about the Fool archetype. So let's have fun with this question. With the Fool, what messages does the archetype of the Fool have for us today, the collective? They're saying, be young at heart. Embrace more fearlessness. Take a leap of faith. Take that next step. Move forward in a direction that feels unknown and mysterious. And they're saying, have fun about it. Have fun about it. Less is more. Carry less baggage. Literally, physically, mentally, emotionally. We're carrying too much baggage. We're carrying baggage of our relationships, of our families, of our ancestors. And we can let that all go. I'm getting their stuff is out of our control. It's been done, it's past. And as we step into the future, simple, less is more, leap of faith, movement forward. They're saying go towards your dreams, somewhat unknowingly at times, and take those leaps of faith and trust your instincts. And it's so funny. They're making a joke because my April newsletter on April 1st, April Fool's Day, the message is let the fool be your guide. And they just said, let the fool be your guide. That's very special. I love the Fool. Okay, what's the most important message we need to know about archetypes? What's the most important message we need to know about archetypes? Human power is too multidimensional to be put into categories. However, these like pinnacle apex archetypes, it's very important to have to set an example, something to aspire to be, a source, a force of inspiration to the world, for the world. So they're extending an invitation and saying to create some personalities that you can look up to, role models. Let them be modern day, meaning not as, what is the word? extreme, they're saying, of like good and evil, right, wrong, all that. Like there's like something in the middle, something of both. And they're actually saying like we need better archetypes. We need the inspiration of newer personalities, and we can create them. So the invitation is, if you're an artist, if you're a musician, if you're a writer, start building around these new possibilities for new characteristics, and use current events to inspire, like, what would today's Superman be like? Superwoman be like? What would today's version of religious or ascended masters, what would they look like? What would they be doing? How would they respond to today? Because it's almost like, yes, like those characters, those personalities, those archetypes are timeless. And also there's evolution. And so like they came from a time. And so who's going to come out of this time? So to like have fun, and like it's fun to create. Like, you know, how do you simplify? How can you make a multi-dimensional, multifaceted, modern day persona character be simplified? So yeah, they're kind of like series, almost like make a series around this. You know, is it a bunch of portraits, story, like this person, this creature, whatever, they do this, and that. And, but I'm getting to like high pedestal, like put them up there as like a role model, like create them as someone who inspires people, someone that we can aspire to be like. Okay. That's a fun little exercise or homework to take with us. I like that. Okay. That was the Akashic Records on Archetypes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys next time.